So can I just ask, can you see me now or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Nick, just say hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey,
He's getting,
a big beard.
Yeah.
I know he's getting shaggy. He's looking like, what's the guy's name on, oh yeah, Shaggy on Scooby-Doo.
What?
Come back, Nick.
Wait,
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
I haven't seen you in a while. It's nice to see you.
Nice to see everybody.
All right.
Are we ready to now announce what the recording is about?
yes, I apologize.
All right.
All right, go.
So today we will be making Chouchouca and Gateau Yaourt. So we're going to start off with Chouchouca. So order of business. Eggplant. We start off with the eggplant because usually what's good to do is to make it weep. So, and making it weep means that you just
Like beat it up and then make it cry. Is that what you mean? Like hit it with what? A spatula?
yes, Isabel.
These videos are gonna get funnier with you on, Zav.
Uh-oh.
Yes, we will
But I haven't had any wine or anything
Isabel.
yet.
So when I peel my eggplant, I do leave some of the skin on.
Okay.
So well, that's it. And then so I'm using this whole eggplant. It's a medium-sized one. It's not a huge one. It's a medium-sized one. And so, and then I cube it, you know, cut it in half and then in quarters. And, you know, you try to make everything approximately the same size. I stink at doing this. Juliet and Kent are really good at doing it. I make them, they never turn out.
You take rulers out and everything to measure it and make sure you're cutting it the right way?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Shut up, Charlotte.
Uh-oh.
What? It's funny.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wait, I want to see this.
Oh, sorry. So,
I mean, I can figure out how to cut it. I just
yeah, I mean, it's just
how other people do it.
large.
You don't take any of the pitty stuff inside out, like the inner meaty stuff?
No, you keep everything.
Keep it all? Okay.
Yeah, no, the seeds are minuscule and they melt down anyway. So I put them all in a colander and then I sprinkle. So we don't beat the eggplant. We do make them weep with salt. So then I put a little bit of kosher salt on top of the first one.
You rub salt in its wound.
That's it.
To make it really cry. Weep. What are you looking for, Bob?
I don't really know the difference between kosher salt and other types of salt.
Kosher salt is it's bigger. I mean, granted, it's blessed by rabbi, but it's not as finely ground. Charlotte, do you know the difference between kosher salt and besides the size and that it's blessed?
I mean, does the size really make it? It's mostly that's been blessed by a rabbi, right? I mean, can you have kosher salt with smaller grains?
Well, it's usually, it's like in the bigger grains and it's also not iodized.
So maybe it's
Difference.
maybe not.
The biggest thing with like kosher salt is if you're used to using like table salt that's more finely like small, but if you're using a volume measurement that you have to like usually double the amount because like the grains are bigger, so you're adding less salt. So if you're gonna like use kosher salt from like instead of table salt, like just double it. But I don't know the difference besides it not being iodized and bigger and whatever. I think that's pretty much it.
So once you've done this, I'm just going to put it in the sink so when it weeps, you can make these weep until for quite a while. Usually I do this a little bit earlier, but since I forgot to do it and we were all going to do it together anyway. So I'm doing this, I'm going to put it in the sink and I'm going to chop up all my other ones and then I'll do it. Then so it's just hanging out in there. And now we're just going to cut I have to rinse my zucchini. So I have 3 zucchinis for that one medium. For the one medium eggplant, I have 3 zucchinis. Now, and again, proportions, it really, depending on how big a eggplant you use, it's sort of, there's probably a little more eggplant and zucchini are probably approximately the same amount, you know. Then we'll go to 1 big onion, and then again,
Onion.
and then tomatoes, and then the
What
tomatoes.
kind of onion?
What?
What kind of onion is that?
It's just a big yellow onion.
Okay, it's not like a Vidalia or whatever.
No, well, I mean, you can use whatever onion you want. I wouldn't recommend a red onion because I don't think red onions
Yeah.
sweat
Okay.
very well. But any other kind of
So
onion.
wait, we have weeping eggplant and sweating onions.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a very
Just
bodily dish.
I'm waiting until you see what we got to add to it. Oh,
Uh-oh, hold on. Taz, come here.
Oh, okay. I see what it's turned into.
Well, while you're preparing your vegetables, everybody go see the dogs.
Hi, Sasha.
Say hello.
Hi.
Hi, Zab.
Hi, Christopher.
Who,
Hey, Todd, how you doing?
who's got the close-up of the, oh, you've got 3 cameras going. Holy cow.
That's Kent.
Every
Hey, Jeannie, how are you?
Good. Nice to see you. You're looking sporty today.
Well, we just came back from a big hike.
Oh, there's another puppy.
Very cool. Well, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you count as a quasi-mother.
I was thinking this one. I think I'm probably like a quarter of a mother or something.
No, you're a half a mother. Enjoy, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, Christopher.
Okay, so wait, we're peeling our zucchinis now, right?
Yep, and I do the same thing with the zucchini. I don't peel off all of the skin. Again, it's a personal preference thing, but and you can just leave all the skin on if you like, but since it all melts, then you just sort of end up having a lot of skin floating around. I don't like that as much, so that's why I have a tendency to do this. So
Not a big fan of floating skin.
no, I'm not. All right, so now I'm going to cut these. These aren't, depending on also the size of your zucchini. You know, there's some you just get like massive zucchinis. Sometimes I cut them into 4s, like but like for these are sort of medium-sized ones. They're sort of the length of my knife. They're not super long, or they're sort of like the length of my hand. These I'm just going to cut them in 2 and chop them up.
So why is this called Chouchouca? Where does the name Chouchouca come from? Versus like Ratatouille?
This actually is, Chouchouca and Ratatouille are actually the same thing as far as I know. But Chouchouca is the northern African name for it, or it comes from Tunisia. I don't know, or Algeria. I'm not quite sure. That's what Maman and Granny used to call it. But in Provence, it's Ratatouille. So that was the explanation given to me by Maman and Granny. Whether it's true, I don't know.
I think that Chouchouca is like a French version or like French interpretation of shakshuka, which is that stuff that we had for your brunch at your wedding.
Yeah.
So I think that like there was enough similarities that like there was some crossover, whatever. So,
Yeah.
oh my God. John says from the other room it's from Moroccan immigrants.
And Anna, remember when you and Adam were here and we went to Simcha and we
Yeah.
had shakshuka there?
We did have shakshuka there too.
Yeah.
Right. I will say it. That was a delicious meal. But that meal that we had as our wedding brunch that John, I will never forget that. John,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and I still remember the taste of that dish, and it was so good.
Yeah, that was awesome.
All right, so I've done my 3 zucchinis. I'm now moving on to my onion.
Is it okay just to dump all this in the same bowl for right now?
What?
I mean, not the eggplant, but the.
You can. I'm going to. I leave all the zucchini out, and we're gonna saute each thing individually, just because it makes more. It's easier to brown everything. And then we shove everything back in the bowl and on the thing, and then it simmers.
Cool.
Sort of like, so I'm doing the onion. And the onion, we actually don't chop it up. We're gonna, we're actually gonna slice it, and we're gonna keep it in rings.
I'm sorry. I'd be interested to know.
So here, I'm just going to medium, yeah, not medium, I don't know. They're not super thick slices. I mean,
Can you give us a measurement?
Quarter of an inch.
I'm
fingernail thick. Oh,
Okay.
stop being a pain in my patootie, Isabel. And then I just punch them through so you have rings.
Why do we keep them in rings for this?
Sorry?
Why do we keep them in rings for this?
Because they melt and they don't totally disappear. If you make them too small and you chop them, then your onions just totally disappear into the dish.
So it helps with the texture.
Yeah.
Of the dish.
Cool. I never knew that any of these things.
Now we're gonna cry because of the onion.
Yes.
It's gonna
Sweat and cry. This is the
sweat, cry and weep.
Ryan and weeping.
Don't cut yourself, please.
No.
I think you're funny.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. But someone gets it. Got to be the younger generation.
All right. So once we've done all these, once we're at this sort of, it's time to start. Sauteing everything. I was going to use my favorite dish, but I think it's too shallow and I have too much stuff. So I'm going to move on to my trusty Jose. You know, I sort of make everything with this thing.
Are we? This just stays on the stovetop, right?
Yep. Just gonna move that over here. All right. So I put this on high, and then just good old olive oil. And you know.
Oh wait, I missed that. You said put it on high and put how much olive oil?
But you sort of cover the bottom of your pan.
What?
Cover the bottom of your pan. I don't know.
Sorry, I'm bad.
So I'm
You
letting.
don't have a measurement for us?
Sorry, what?
No measurement here. We're winging it.
Yes, we're winging it. This whole. Oh, hey, Kent, do you want to come? I want to show. It weeps like this. Can you see that?
Oh, wait.
See what?
See the little water things on top? That's, I don't know if you can see it.
The water seeping out.
Yeah,
Oh, of the eggplant?
the eggplant. That's
It's
what
weeping.
comes at.
It's the tears of the eggplant. It's weeping.
Yes, it's the tears of the eggplant it's weeping.
You finally, you got it out of it. You got.
I did.
I'm crying because of the onion.
Oh, yeah.
Do you then have to wash that off or take it off the eggplant somehow?
Nope.
Let it come out.
You just let it come out, and it just allows for a little less water in the whole chouchouca. Because you're adding. There's also water in the zucchini, and then there's also water in the tomatoes. So it just gives you a little less water. If you forget to do it, it's not a big deal, and you just let it boil off. So a lot of it is sort of you don't want a ton of water in it. If you do, it just that's all. Does that make sense?
Yes, and you said olive oil, right?
Yeah, I use olive oil.
Okay.
I mean, my mom probably used peanut oil because that's what she had all the time. But you can also sometimes. You can also add like a knob of butter to your thing, but I
What's the knob?
like a tablespoon of butter.
Like one of those wine things. Like, yeah, okay, I get it. A knob.
So you can do that, and it adds a little more richness to it, but I don't think it needs it. So now we just put in the onions.
Okay, onions.
Oh. You're doing this on a fast, high heat?
Yep. Just because I find that with my stove and you want to make sure you don't want to burn anything, but you don't mind them browning.
Yep.
So.
Am I the only other one cooking this today?
I think so because Charlotte
I'm
doesn't.
writing the recipe down.
Oh, sorry, Shush.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a bummer.
I forgot to get an eggplant,
So just so you know, Shash, after last week's demonstration of your little miniature oven, Adam is like sold on getting one.
we can send you some links if you want it.
Send us your link.
Okay.
I mean, we're not gonna get it now, but
It's great though.
Yeah, I want the link too. Not that I get one, but it's always good to have.
It's great.
Yeah,
onions.
Might be a better toaster too. Because our toaster, you could get rid of the toaster and just use that.
That's what because we have just like a little pop-up toaster. You can see it in the background there.
Yeah.
But we don't have like a toaster oven, and for some reason Adam much prefers a toaster oven.
Well,
we had a toaster oven growing up in my house.
I'll tell you, toaster ovens are really nice to have when they're just like two of you, just because
you don't have to heat up the whole oven, right?
you don't have to heat up, especially during the summer. If you want to bake and things like that, it's so much. You're not heating up the whole house.
Right.
You guys talking about the toaster oven? Hey, Amanda.
Hi.
We watched Knives Out last night. We were thinking about you.
What did you think?
We loved it.
Loved it. Yeah.
Good?
What?
It's great.
Okay, have you guys seen it?
It's really good.
Seen what?
You've seen it. I loved it.
Seen
Like
what?
Knives Out.
Oh yes.
Knives Out.
Oh yes. It's Juliet's favorite movie now. She made us watch it like a while back.
Because they filmed it partly in Sharon.
Yeah, well, they filmed it all over Massachusetts.
And in Waltham Center too.
Yep.
That's where I was trying to figure out what town center that was.
Yeah.
No, I loved it, and it's really about like immigration, actually, which is
It seriously is, totally. Yeah. Good. So glad.
That's the second Jordan Peele movie, right?
What?
That's like the second Jordan Peele movie, right? Like,
I don't know.
I honestly, I don't know.
No. You're talking about Get Out or Us.
Yeah, no.
yeah, wasn't Knives like a?
No.
No, it's different.
It's
Yeah.
it's a clue.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Chris Evans and Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
And James Bond.
And Craig James.
James Craig.
James Craig. All right.
All right, no, it's not James
No.
Craig.
Is it James?
What's the name of the second?
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig.
James Bond, but he's Daniel Craig. Okay.
That's right.
What was the second Jordan Peele?
And as a Brit, he did a very impressive Southern accent.
Yep.
Really? Yeah.
All right. So you see, I am melting the onions.
Melting.
Yes, they melt.
Don't do that.
And I'm going to let them brown just a little bit.
I don't understand why they call it melt when melting is going from a solid to a liquid.
That doesn't seem like an appropriate adjective, but
No, but that's what it's called. That's what it's called.
whatever.
All right. So there we go. We'll do this. And now we'll just do this to each of the vegetables. We do this to the onions, we do it to the zucchini, and then we'll do it to the eggplant.
So then you take it out every time you take the vegetable out.
Yes, I take the vegetable out, and then
So, am I looking for like a light browning, or just to soften them, or what?
you can have a light brown. There are times where I've forgotten it on the stove, and they've been more than lightly browned, but hey, it works too.
In that case, you're adding slightly caramelized onions to
Yes.
the fish.
So yeah, so here these are you know, these are pretty floppy. Oh, thank you. Doesn't really matter.
No, this is
I
wild.
think Mama probably has burned some of the onions at some point in Chouchouca, as I recall.
Oh yes. So there we go. So I'm just going to transfer these. They're a little brown, but right now I just want to get it done, so I'm taking them out. So. Well, that's not working well. Excuse me. Let's go get this. So I'm going to add a little more oil, because that's not enough. So adding a little more oil, not, again, just to cover the bottom of the pan. And then I'm going to put in half of my zucchini. I do these by half just so it doesn't crowd the bottom of the pan.
Okay.
And you'll do the same thing with the might be a slightly chunker shoot to death.
Yeah, these are only cut in half.
Yeah. So it's one that was a little fatter. Oh well. So yes, they will. Depending on the size that you make your vegetables, either it's slightly chunkier or a little more liquidy, But they do all melt. They do all melt together. So it's really, basically it's a vegetable stew. That's what it is. Some people you can put in peppers. If you like peppers, you can add stuff. I've seen recipes where, though I don't think this is worth it. They put carrots in it. I'm like, that's a no for me. But if you like peppers, you can do that. In general, we didn't put peppers in because I don't think Mama liked peppers. So, and I'm not a big fan of peppers. because I literally broke them up. I eat them for 3 days if I have to. So I have a tendency not to put peppers in my chouchouca. So these are browning a little bit. I think Ken's trying to take a close-up of the weeping, crying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you see that?
Droplets. Oh, yeah.
And they're getting a little wickier.
Yep. So on the zucchini, you actually see they brown a little bit more. I let them sort of saute and brown a little bit, so it gives a little more flavor to it.
And we're not adding salt to any of these right now, right?
No, I add the salt afterwards. Also, because you salt I salt the eggplant. I wait until that all does it, and then I taste it, and I sort of see what needs to be added.
Okay.
But I mean, you can salt it a little bit.
My beanie. My beauty. Hello. Hello.
A cute sleeping doggy.
Come here, hon.
What is that, Zob? That's Maisie?
Mama.
Maisie?
Oh, that's Winnie.
That's Winnie, okay. I can't tell.
Oh, look.
Sweet.
All right, so I'm just getting this out of the way, and I'm going to do my next batch of zucchini.
Yours are going faster than mine.
That's why I put them up on high.
I'll crank up my heat a little bit.
Oh, while Juju isn't here, and she can't yell at me for being a proud mother, because she hates when we do this.
How did it hurt? Yeah.
What?
No, go ahead and say what you were.
Well, Juju has done very well. She got highest honors on her thesis, and she's probably, at this point, going to graduate summa cum laude.
Woo-hoo!
That is awesome.
We have such smart people in our family.
Is she feeling better this week, having done the thesis stuff and all that?
Yeah, a little bit, but I think she's a little more sad that she just can't sort of have the whole experience, you know, with her friends and sort of celebrating and doing all that kind of stuff. So as much as we talk about, you know, we'd like to do something, she's like, I don't really want to, because it you know.
It feels different.
That's a bummer.
You know, it's
Now,
not.
does she have one more year, though, to do the
Well,
math?
she is, because she's doing her master's program. So hopefully hopefully she'll at least be able to have that kind of celebration once she, you know, that's what we're hoping. So, all right, so now we're back at this. I'm actually going to turn my thing down a little bit because it gets super hot. I'm going to add more olive oil, and I'm going to do the same thing to the eggplant, but half, you know, cook them half at a time. Now, Kent, just be careful. This is going to splatter quite a bit because it's hot and these are wet. So. And just so you know, you actually want to add a little more oil when you're doing the eggplant, because it absorbs the oil. It's the eggplant itself absorbs oil a lot. It's more spongy than like zucchini and other stuff. So So you can see it's already absorbed all the oil. So there's sort of no residual oil. So I'm just gonna leave those for a little bit. So once I have these doing this, I'm just going to wash my tomatoes and cut them. And sometimes I seed them, sometimes I don't. It sort of depends. I'm not sure how many tomatoes I'm going to use. I'm going to use at least 2. I might add 3. I sort of take a look and see what it needs.
What kind of tomatoes are those?
If you don't have tomatoes, you can use canned diced tomatoes. I would just don't add the liquid to it though. Just drain your diced tomatoes.
Is there a certain kind of tomato that you use?
I happen to use tomatoes on the vine, but I'm not sure beefsteak tomatoes would be good, but you can use whatever tomato.
Okay, I mean, it doesn't make a difference, the type.
You probably don't want to use like Roma tomatoes.
No, you can.
You can?
No, you can. Roma tomatoes don't have as much, they're not as watery.
Okay.
So here I usually cut them into, what's that mean? Each half into. Shut up, Isabel.
Let her have it.
I didn't say anything. So you're cutting them into 1/8 or into 16ths or what?
Into 16ths, yes. People take me more seriously when you're not around, Isabel.
Yeah, and stop waving around the knife there, Pook. You could throw it at the camera, I suppose.
Yeah, no. Oh, wait, hold on.
Oh, something's burning.
Yep, it's a little, yeah. So.
Definitely a different vibe to have a heckler on the call.
You must have missed me last
This is
week.
being recorded, so.
Oh, whoops. I'll behave.
No, we'll just forever will get to remember your sense of humor, though.
By being a pain in the butt.
Something never said. So.
Doing more?
Yeah, well, I have the other half I have to do. So, watch it.
Okay, so hold on. I'm behind again. I'm gonna chop my tomatoes, and you're just chopping them
In
I have only little
16ths.
tomatoes,
So you want to cut them in half again, cut them in half again, and then cut them in half again. Think maybe one more time just for good measure. And that should take you to 16ths.
Okay. Good math there.
Naughty woman you are.
Relax, dude.
Ooh, Charlotte's got something serious out.
Ooh.
It looks like a machete. What is it?
A bench
Oh.
scraper.
It's a what?
A bench scraper.
Oh, I don't have those kind of tools at my house.
We do have this.
Ooh, yep. A cleaver.
What do you actually use it? No, I know a bench scraper, it's like you use it with dough, right?
Yeah.
We use it for like literally everything, to just like wipe all the crumbs off the counter and just like move stuff around, to like pick stuff up and move it to the stove. It's like, great. Very much improved kitchen life.
And the Chinese cleaver is just for vegetables.
This is for vegetables, yeah.
Not tomatoes, though.
Not
Use it
tomatoes.
for anything.
That works.
You know, suppose you could.
I think I'm gonna add another tomato. I'm gonna do 3 tomatoes. Just.
How many is that in cups, Pookie?
Shut up, Miss Bell.
Actually, it was kind of a serious question.
You're really enjoying this, Charlotte, aren't you?
I am. I'm sorry. It's entertaining. Yeah, how to put this off?
We've got to pop the plastic pieces off.
All right, so for tomatoes, I'm just putting however many you want to put it in. That's what I'm putting on my recipe.
Yeah, I mean, you can take a look and see, you know, if you like it really tomatoey, then great. If not, by the way, also these tomatoes on the vine, they're not super incredibly ripe, which is fine for this kind of thing because you're cooking the hell out of them. So
That's always my problem with tomatoes. I love tomatoes, but I rarely buy them because it's so hard to get good ones.
yeah, well,
True.
there we go. I have 3 tomatoes.
You have to grow your tomatoes.
No, Mom, you've always grown really nice tomatoes.
All right, so here we go. This is all sort of done. Now I'm just throwing everything back in the pot.
Everything.
Everything.
Wait, what about you're not going to saute up the tomatoes?
No, I put everything back in the pot.
So your zucchini, your onion, and your eggplant,
Yep,
and your pepper if you choose to put one in.
correct. Mix everything up. Now I'm going to throw in my tomatoes.
Pour in, you're not throwing them in. Oh, she just threw a tomato at me. I think I'm going to have to throw something back.
It is. And there we go.
Hey,
Hi, Philip.
Hey, Philip.
hello. You're just at the end of the Chouchouca, Philip.
There we go.
Can't hear you.
Hi. Sorry.
Wow, look at your hair.
Yeah, I need a haircut.
I like it.
Don't we
Happy
all?
Mother's Day to all the moms,
Thank you.
especially you, Mom.
Thank you.
All right, so I am going to add a little more salt at this point.
So I want to see your ratio to tomatoes because I feel like I don't have enough tomatoes in mine, but
So this is my 3 tomatoes. I mean,
not super tomatoey.
No.
Okay.
I mean, to a
Hi,
certain,
Jude.
to a certain extent, it's, I don't know, volume-wise, probably pretty equal. Pretty equal. I mean,
Except for the
again,
onions.
except for the onions, probably.
Yeah.
But again, if you like more onions, you can add more onions. If you like something else and you've got more of one thing, just throw them in. Honestly, it's a personal taste type of thing. But this is the basics. This is what I make. I'm going to, and then I'm going to cover this. I'm covering
Wait,
it.
did you add any salt?
Yeah, I added a little more salt. Oh, you can add some pepper too, but you don't need to. But I'm going to add some pepper now. And later on, once it is melted down a little bit, I'm going to add a couple of cloves of garlic, which I put through the, I have a garlic press, and then I'll add that later. My mom also used to, what she used to do, and I do this sometimes when I remember to do it, with her mouli persil, you know, well, I can do it here, the above, you know, this thing. I don't know if you guys have one of these, but she would put her her cloves of garlic in this. Hold on, it wasn't turning. And some, it's not turning.
Defective equipment you got, Pookie?
Looks like it. Or the user is defective. I don't know.
To be seen.
There we go. she would put like a handful of parsley and the garlic cloves in, and just, but a little bit later, just because you don't want to cook out the parsley too much. And you can just do that towards the end of it. And you can add the garlic sort of whenever you want. I do it later. So
how long do you keep it like that, cooking like this? And if it's on a, is it simmering? Like, is it on a low boil type thing, or?
I try to bring it up so I'm stirring it around. I'm trying to see how it's. I let it bring it up to a good boil.
Oh, okay.
But you know, everything's sort of simmering, and the tomatoes are rendering some more liquid.
So you do bring it to a boil and then let simmer.
Yeah, but you have to mix it at the beginning so that it doesn't, because the eggplants will stick to the bottom of the pot. So the first few minutes, you really, until a lot of the liquid is rendered, you want to sort of give it a good stir every other, you know, but like it's starting to, if you can see down here, it's starting to render some liquid down at the bottom. I don't know if you can see.
I don't see any of the other camera pictures other than the one that's just facing you.
You can swipe.
So like whenever Kent does.
You can swipe on your phone to get to the other views.
Oh, I can? Oh, holy cow, look at that. It's a whole new world.
So there we go. So covering it also keeps the juices in so they don't all evaporate.
Yeah, mine is looking pretty dry, Pook, but maybe it's, I just need to wait and keep
wait stirring it and put the cover on.
Okay.
So you don't lose all the, so everything doesn't evaporate.
Okay.
So, and then I'm just gonna then I'm just gonna put it on my simmer. It's not on. And then, so you want to check this at the very beginning. You want to check it several times, and you'll see it will eventually melt down, and there'll be a little more liquid. My tomatoes aren't super liquidy right now because I think they're a little too green, but they should be okay.
So I've just got like sort of like a really thin, like there is some liquid now on the bottom, but it's just sort of wet at the bottom. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay.
Just make sure you stir it pretty regularly, just at the beginning, so it doesn't all stick.
And it'll just start getting all mushy, right?
Yeah, and then you let it simmer at least for a half an hour or longer again, you know. You have to check, and then usually what I do is that I just, it gets to a certain point, then I just turn off the heat and I let it sit. So it just sort of all the flavors sort of meld together. I also taste it at that point, sort of see if you want to add, probably in about 10 minutes, I'll add some garlic to it. I don't have any parsley, so I'm not adding the parsley, but I'm going to prep a couple of cloves of garlic. And again, the amount of garlic you put in is what you prefer. You know, if you like a huge amount.
What do you start with though?
I don't like to over garlic it, so maybe 2-3 cloves. Again, it depends on how big how much you are making, you know. But I think two, these are 2 nice, relatively large cloves. Maybe I'll put in 3. Again, depends on the feel that I have. So today, nope, I'm going with 3. That feels good.
Feel it out, right?
Yep.
Now, I have a question, because this has always been a challenge for me with like Chouchouca or Ratatouille. What do you serve it with? How would Mama serve it?
I have a tendency to serve it with grilled chicken.
Ooh,
Mama, you can, you can really serve it with anything. A lot of times you can do it also with just rice. I mean, you can have it as sort of like a sauce. But I have a tendency to do it with like grilled chicken that I have, that like chicken breasts that I salt, that I rub with oil, salt it really heavily with kosher salt, and then herbe de Provence, and then grill it.
Ooh, yeah, that sounds good.
So that I usually do that. It's really good with just steak or
Some sort of meat.
Yeah, and a grilled meat is nice. I mean, it could be if you do it, I think grilled meats are nicer just because it's more summery. I mean, to a certain extent, this is sort of a summer type of thing because that's when the vegetables are the best. It's sort of like pistou. It's more of a summer soup because the vegetables are available best at that time more than anything else.
Okay. So,
but yeah, a grilled meat and that, or I assume you can do any kind of grain. And you can also, it's also really good cold. Mama would also have it, and she would, just like the chouchouca, that she would sometimes serve it with eggs.
ooh.
And she would actually poach them in the leftover chouchouca. She would do that occasionally. Not a huge amount of times, but on occasion she would do it.
I think on the Cape we may have had it a couple of times with the striped bass.
Yeah.
When that was in season, like a grilled one,
Sure, absolutely. I mean, you can have it really with anything. I mean, think about it. It's a Mediterranean dish, so anything that is, sort of Mediterranean in some fashion.
We always had it cold with leftovers too.
Yeah.
We've had it with pork chops.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So,
Say hi to Sophie.
hi, Sophie.
They're making ratatouille for a ratatouille lesson and a gâteau yaourt.
All right, so Anna, you want to see what I'm just checking my.
Yeah, let's see. Ooh, yours is looking nice.
So that's basically it, and I'm gonna let this cook down for a while, and then probably in about 15-20 minutes I'll add the garlic, which I love my garlic press because I hate mincing garlic. So
that is like not so because I use garlic like every day.
Yeah, this is
avoiding getting a garlic press because it seems like it would be hard to clean.
They are hard to clean, but this one is amazing because you see how it
yeah, look at that.
And it's really easy. So you're able to lift this out. You're able to clean this out. Mine also, when I've used it too many times, I actually go and throw it in the dishwasher, which is great. But whatever, this is what is this? Do we know what it's a puzzle. I don't know. This is the mark, but I can't. I don't know.
Posel or posy?
It might be posel or something like that. It might be German of some sort.
Cool.
But I believe this was a Williams Sonoma purchase.
Yes. Cool. I'm gonna look that up.
So that's really nice. Oh, wait a minute. I put it away. I don't want to put it away. All right. So now we're moving on to the famous Gateau Yaourt.
Not inside the house.
All right. So I'm going to clean up a little bit here. Oh my God, I made tea. I did though.
That's great.
You can also microplane your garlic if you.
Yes, that's true.
Ooh.
You can what?
Microplane it.
Microplane?
Can you show us? Oh, yeah.
These-
Okay,
What does
yeah.
that mean? Microplane? Did you just say microplane?
Yes.
What does that mean?
You use
It's
this
a zester.
this microplane. Oh, you don't see the close-ups.
Well, I'm looking, but
Here,
I don't know.
show it up.
I've actually started.
Kitchen gadgets I know nothing about. Wow, look at that. Okay.
I've started using my rotary cheese grater for garlic. I just pop the garlic in there and rotate, and it all falls in.
Yeah, I mean, they're all just, the same method, just different things. So whatever works for you.
Make the garlic small. I'm always afraid with a microplane, I'm gonna like get my fingers in there.
Oh,
Just stop before it gets too close.
yeah.
What do you do with the remaining knob?
You only
What do
end
you
up,
do with the
Look at the
remaining-
skin and blood, not bad.
Just toss it.
you only do it once or twice before you learn where to stop.
Oh, yeah.
Philip, what are you eating?
Lunch, some eggs and the leftover potatoes
We would do it now.
Ooh.
because I froze them because I made a lot, and some of these like cheesy cracker guys, which are really good.
Wait, are
I
those
like-
your still, Philip? Are those still the potatoes from the gratin 2 weeks ago?
Yep.
Because you made a massive gratin.
Yeah, and then froze the leftovers.
You had lots of potatoes. I remember
Gift
that.
keeps on giving. Frozen.
Yeah.
gratins. Great.
Alrighty. So next.
What do we do if we don't have that pan?
The pan.
Well, this is.
But-
Well, yeah, but it's not quite the same thing.
Oh.
Pan. It's like a Jello mold actually. This is what they used to make these Jello molds. You can, I don't know if you can, an angel food cake thing, I'm not sure will work quite the same way. I'm not really sure.
Oh, I have.
Definitely don't have that.
The other thing you can do, if you have some kind of glass or metal thing that's small enough, you can put it in the middle of a.
That's a good idea.
I'm just as an example, I have this is too small for it, for the amount that you're gonna make, but you can also do it if you have something, you can add it to this and you'll have a ring.
So wait, I can or I can't use a bunt pan for this?
You can try. I don't see why not. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, it's a little lighter.
I should grease it really well.
Yeah, I mean,
You may not want to fill it as much, right? Or you
I don't think that's gonna, no, it'll be fine.
Okay.
But I truly believe in this, which is ham, flour, it's the baking stuff.
Ooh.
This is amazing stuff. If you're gonna bother making butt cakes and things like that, spray the hell out of your pan with this stuff.
Did you say butt cakes?
Yeah. In high form tonight.
Yeah, I know.
Alrighty. Isabel, have you ever made this cake in another kind of pan besides?
Never.
Never?
I've always made it in the round thing.
You've always done it in this. All right. So, well, I'm going to get so we need yogurt. I'm going to use a melted butter as opposed to oil. Mamu has.
She always used butter. She never used, because really I thought a Gateau Yaourt was kind of like a pound cake. I never used oil. I always used a stick of butter.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm doing.
I will let them know in a short time.
So I'm using a stick of butter. this is the first time I've made this in years. So chances are you want the butter to be cooled a little bit. You don't want to put it in hot. So the first thing you want to do is melt your butter. And while it's cooling, you get all the other ingredients together.
That mic is the same. Recently,
And it says Maman has it baked at 375. So I just got one of these plain Greek yogurt things, and it's like 5.3 ounces. These things have gotten smaller and smaller over the years. When Maman used to make it, I think these were like a full, the old Dannon ones, which is what she used to get, were were like 8 ounces. It was like a cup of yogurt, if I remember correctly. But they've gotten smaller and smaller over the years. So
she never used Greek yogurt, she always used regular. I'm just saying, I use the whole milk regular yogurt.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know that I would imagine that Greek yogurt and regular yogurt are probably, it would be interesting to see the difference, because I'm sure Greek yogurt makes it a little bit thicker or heavier, possibly.
Either that or a little tartar too. I don't know.
Yep.
I was wondering about that in terms of like the texture, if they are interchangeable, or do we have to like loosen up the Greek yogurt?
Yeah, stir it. Yes.
That's gonna be the only.
Josh wants to say
Alton Brown over here.
Yes. Okay.
The Greek yogurt has more protein because it's it's strained.
So there's less water and more protein per gram.
Meaning that the cake will be less tender.
It's not gonna.
So you're gonna have a rock hard cake with Greek yogurt, and you'll have a nice moist cake with regular yogurt.
Well, it'll
be the same moisture content roughly. One will just be like, imagine like a cake made with all-purpose flour versus cake flour. Because one has higher protein.
It's not going to make a huge amount of difference. The crumb
the difference is going to be negligible unless you eat them side by side.
Yeah.
We'll have to. Yeah, we're gonna test that theory out.
So wait, we're gonna melt a stick of butter?
Yep.
Okay. I usually don't have kitchen gadgets, but I'll show my kitchen gadget, which is a butter specifically for melting butter.
Wow.
It looks messy today, but it's made of like the laboratory glass,
All right.
Cool. So I just stick it on the stove. I love it.
Mama, I'm sorry. Can you tell me what the ingredients are again? I just want to double check that I actually have everything before I start making.
Flour, sugar, eggs, butter. That's it, and baking soda. Or no, I think
baking powder. Baking powder.
Yeah, no, it's baking powder, not baking soda.
So.
How much yogurt?
And pool. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, as I said before, I think whatever your actual measurement for yogurt is, being whether it's an actual visual measuring cup, or you use a glass, or you use that same measurement for all the ingredients that you're putting in. So the same measuring pool or cup for the sugar, the 2 sugars I think that you put in, and the 3 things of flour.
Yep. So what I'm actually going to do is that I'm actually going to measure my butter, because that's 1 stick of butter. I know that that's usually what we use. So I'm going to use that stick of butter and see how much that actually volume is. And then I'm going to add the same thing of yogurt. And then the two of sugar and the 2, because in the recipe, Maman's recipe says un pot de yaourt et un pot de beurre fondu. So the butter and the yogurt are the same amount. So whatever a stick of butter is, I'm going to
So 1 butter, 1 yogurt, 3 flour,
3 flours, 2 sugar.
The idols are.
And for that, 3 teaspoons, a tablespoon of baking powder. There's actually quite a bit of baking powder. And then 3 eggs.
And you don't see anything.
So Soph and I bought a dozen eggs. They're jumbo eggs that I purchased. And every single one that Sophie has cracked has had double yolks.
Yeah.
Every single one.
Oh.
Some stores are not designed to be big.
Well, all recipes usually most baking recipes always refer to large eggs, not jumbo or extra large.
No.
So
I just thought that was kind of cool that each one had 2 yolks.
yep.
Although maybe it's just some kind of genetic mutation going on.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a little bit freaky, actually.
Isn't it?
I don't know why, really, but it's.
And like that's always like contradictory.
Here's my puppy to say hello.
Oh, Taz.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, Jumbo.
Hi. Yeah. Oh boy. Let me give it a kiss.
Unless you literally live alone and you're ordering everything on Instacart.
Oh, and you have a cat there, Mom.
Itty Puff.
Oh.
All right, so a stick of butter is a 1/2 cup melted. Oh,
You can do, I would do a cup of yogurt. I wouldn't, that's not enough. You're not going to have very much. I mean, it's going to be pretty small cake if you don't put a cup of yogurt.
Okay. So according to Maman's things, you put
I
everything in
don't
the
think
bowl.
the bev and the yogurt are the exact amounts, even though.
Well, I'm just as an experiment, I'm just gonna give it a whirl. I'm actually gonna let it cool off a little bit first.
So we think actually a cup of yogurt to go with the stick of butter. Is that right? We're not sure.
I guess so, yeah. I mean, to a certain extent, if you want to make it simple, Ben, in general, do you just use like a cup of, so do you use 2 cups of sugar, or do you use what do you do? We lost her? Where'd she go? At the critical point, she walks away.
Glory.
Oh God. What, were you talking to me?
Yes, no, Isabel.
Oh.
She left, and she leaves.
No, I'm coming back. I'm just helping Sophie with something. What was the question?
Well, when Mamal did this, when you make yours, I know you use the glass, but what's that glass that you use, and is it like a cup? So do you use?
I would say it's the glass that I used to use, and what I currently use now is similar to a regular cup of a cup. So when I make it, I use a stick of butter, a cup, maybe a heaping cup, I should say, of yogurt, and then I use that same cup for the flour and the sugar, a regular measuring cup.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
All right. So then I'm going with what Ben is saying. I'm going to use a. Yeah, this sort of makes sense to me, though.
Yeah, that's smart.
Okay, so I'm sorry to get clarification again. It's 3 times flour and 2 times sugar?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to pause here and I'm going to check my sugar out.
Yeah.
So, Anna,
Yep.
checking my chouchouca right now.
Ooh, looking nice.
And I'm gonna add my garlic now.
I'll do that as well.
So. Sorry.
Do you still have that hanging plant that I forgot to bring home that Grandma gave me? Okay.
Just, you know, it's confit. That means it's been sitting out.
Yeah.
Oil off. But keep that oil because I'll use it again.
Dude.
Is there, can I just mix all of my dry ingredients together in one bowl?
My mom puts everything all in one bowl. It just says, put them all together and just mix.
Okay.
Yogurt.
So you don't even have to do it in separate bowls. You can just add it.
Okay.
My zucchini is a bit big, so I'm gonna chop it a little bit. Might not be one of my better renditions of this thing. There we go. So done with that. All right. So I'm getting my 2 cups of sugar.
I haven't bought any like any flour.
He's just in my mind.
No, it blew away because we had a huge storm. No. Oh, it was wicked. It was a storm, and then the next day I didn't see it.
And then I need 2 of these.
I have an unrelated question that might be for John or for anyone else who's done this before, but yesterday I tried to make my own mayonnaise for the first time and it did not go well. Has anyone done that before and knows how to do it correctly?
Yeah. What happened?
It was like separated and it was like not right.
Okay. Did you use a blender?
No, I used my hand. I mean, I'm whisking it myself.
Okay. If you're whisking by hand, did you use a whole egg or just yolks?
I used just yolks.
Okay.
It was like too liquidy, and then and then I tried to, and then I started it, and I put it in the mini food processor, and I just blitzed it a lot, and it separated.
Yeah. Usually that means there's either it wasn't like 3 things could have happened. Like the oil could have been added too fast.
Yeah, that's probably what it was, because I think I just dumped it.
Yeah, like what I like to do is set up a bowl with all the oil in it and just like a small, like a teaspoon or something. And while you're whisking your eggs, just add the oil teaspoon at a time and wait until it's like fully incorporated before adding more. And then once it starts to thicken like that, you can start to speed up. And like if it starts to get really thick.
Yeah, okay, continue.
All right, I muted Philip because we were getting random conversation overlaying everything.
Yeah.
If it starts to get like too thick and the oil doesn't want to like go into the mixture, you can just add a few drops of water and loosen it back up and make it so that more oil can go in. Because basically, you're trying to basically create like a bunch of little like oil droplets that are surrounded on all sides by water. And the egg yolk is there because it's an emulsifier and it attracts water on one side and oil on the other. That's how you get the oil and the water to hold together, which normally they don't want to do. So if you don't have like enough water or you add too much oil at one time, all those fat droplets want to like find each other, and that's why it breaks.
Okay.
You've got to like just put them in there a couple at a time, and then they'll kind of stay separated, which will give you like a nice tight mayonnaise.
Okay.
Otherwise, you can do that whole thing in like a food processor or a blender, or even with like an immersion blender. Yeah. So.
Okay.
This is funny.
I was like, at least I can ask someone who knows.
I just sent Juliet a recipe for hollandaise yesterday, and basically it's the same thing. One uses butter though, and one uses oil. So.
Will you send us the recipe too?
Yeah.
Every now and then these days. So you I think it was in France. You taught Adam how to make an egg on the stove, like really
egg?
nicely, and he every now and then he whips it out as a special surprise for me. And sometimes he'll make a hollandaise.
Yeah, I'll find the recipe there. He has there's like a hollandaise and a mayonnaise version, and they're almost the same. And
Nice.
as long as you have one of like the stick like immersion blenders, it'll work great.
Yeah, one of those.
So
Thank you.
yeah, it's like,
Guys, so where is everybody with their cake?
I'm just putting everything together.
That's what I'm doing. Remember baking powder, because I almost forgot.
I'm gonna put the
One
Yes,
tablespoon
and don't use baking soda or else it will turn brown.
A tablespoon?
Yeah, a tablespoon. Yes.
You sure?
What?
You sure? That's a lot of baking
I
powder.
know it is, but trust me.
Sure, it's a tablespoon. I don't
This is one of those
Mine's
cakes
a
that actually
tablespoon.
uses.
Hold on, I'm gonna at least see what my recipe says.
Well, I'm just following my mom's
It's a
recipe
tablespoon.
because
I
it's
think it was
so much baking powder.
that is a lot of baking powder. Hold on.
I'm done with it. If it's wrong, then we can adjust it the next time.
And we're doing 3 eggs, right?
Yep.
I have a teaspoon of baking powder, not tablespoon.
Well, I'm just going after what Maman said because it was the French
3 times bigger than the other.
I'm gonna go with the teaspoon. Sorry, Mama.
Yeah, I've always done a teaspoon.
It's very possible that it's wrong. So I'm just going after what Maman.
How many teaspoons in a tablespoon?
3.
There's 3 teaspoons in a tablespoon.
It's a factor of 3 that you could be off by.
Yep, I don't know. I'm just going with what the recipe says. If it's wrong, well, we won't be eating this cake. Oh, and then there's also a zest of a lemon or an orange. I'm actually going to put in a zest of both because it's my new thing. I happen to like having both.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to try that too because I happen to have an orange, which I never have. But do you just do what? You eyeball it? Like.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you like a lot of citrus, then put in, if you just want a little bit of each, put in a little bit of each, you know.
I have also used, with the zest, a little squirt or 2 of lemon doesn't hurt it either.
Grapefruit.
Lemon juice.
Oh, Shash, good idea.
We're gonna go a little unconventional and throw poppy seeds in there too.
Okay.
Ooh, poppy seeds.
Of course she doesn't approve.
Who?
You.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
One of those two.
It was Isabel. Hey, we might have the same voice, but we don't necessarily have the same opinions.
Yeah, we do. Or did you clean them out?
What are we talking about? I think I'm missing out on something.
So wait a second. I'm sorry to keep asking these questions, but I'm doing baking powder, right?
Yes, powder. And everybody else is doing a teaspoon. I did a tablespoon.
Maybe I'll do like 1.5.
There you go.
I did like a teaspoon plus a little.
I'm gonna do 1.5 and we'll see.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't want to get, I'm not sure, I don't want to get sheets from there because they were, unless they're like the nicer kind, but they got like tilly and stuff.
Oh, you're doing orange and lemon? Oh no, that's a lemon.
What is this, Philip? Did we order this? We literally got.
Hearing all about your.
Maybe.
Hey, Philip, why don't you mute until you need to.
Somebody.
Sorry.
Wait, I want to know what they ordered.
I know, now I'm intrigued.
What's this bill?
Nice.
No, John.
Oh, Amanda, your kitty looks very happy.
Yes, I prefer to see the kitty in my window than my face. So
I think that'd be good.
he's having a scritch.
All right. So.
It'd be really good.
That'd be really good.
Well, it does look a little funky.
Should I just throw the chopped nuts in? Should I just throw the
Yours looks very thick, Pookie.
Yep.
Did you add the eggs yet?
Yep.
You did?
Yep.
And wait, Pookie, did you do a full cup of the yogurt?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm actually going to do what Ben suggested. I'm going to add some, just because it does look a little thick, add some.
Yeah, that definitely looks thick, Pook.
Yep.
Is Adam helping you?
He's making lunch in the background.
Oh, yeah, he is helping.
Yeah. He's a good one.
You only have shells.
It'll be a very lemony cake.
He needs a haircut too, Philip.
I'm on my.
Yeah.
He's on hat, yeah.
I've been thinking about going into hat mode.
Pook, it's very good with the lemon. Even if you think you're putting a lot of lemon in, it still does. It's very good in it. My kids like it a lot.
It's like really roasty flavored.
Isabel, one of my big memories of Mamou's kitchen was you making this cake and it was all.
I would make this cake very often. It was definitely.
Yeah.
I made this cake all the time. My mom. It was the one thing that my mom did not have to help me do at all in the kitchen.
You knew it.
And Dad was always happy and encouraging me to make it.
Yeah, my mom was not a big baker. She didn't particularly like to bake.
Ooh, did you get a pit, Pookie?
Yep. I'm actually going to add some orange too.
We've gone a little rogue with the flavors.
What?
We've gone a little rogue with the flavors.
That's okay.
We're doing grapefruit, pistachio oil, turmeric, and some crushed pistachios.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Well, and then you've got
That is way not yogurt cake anymore.
It's a little bit different.
That's the beauty of the recipe. It can be endlessly customized.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Josh, you should take a picture. I want to hear how everyone's cakes come out this time because we're all doing a little bit different.
What does the oven need to be at?
375. And she says to cook it for about 40 minutes.
About the right consistency now.
Well, it's still a little thick.
Yeah, it's a little thick, but that's That's okay.
Alrighty. Well, I'm going to spray the hell out of my pan.
And oh, so you don't need to use the are you saying you don't need to use the flour thing if you use that?
If you use, no, if you use, no, you always use this in any kind of baking that you're in a pan. Always spray it or butter it and flour it. This
Okay. When I was doing it, I would always use the butter and rub the we would use the butter wrapping paper
Yeah.
and mush that all around and then put the flour in.
Yeah. This just does the same thing, but you don't have to do it with the butter.
Get your fingers all buttery.
Yeah.
I get it.
I always do this over the sink just because a lot of times I miss. Ta-da! Alrighty. Now I'm going to put this thing in.
Mine is too thick too. I think it's thick because I, like Pookie, I'm using Greek yogurt.
Could be.
That could be too, actually.
I might put a little splash of milk in mine. Is that a bad
I'm
idea?
gonna try the next time I make one. I'm gonna try it with Greek yogurt and see if it turns out differently
Yeah, do it.
than the one that I make with the. That way I can tell you guys if it's different with the regular yogurt.
Alrighty.
Smells lemony, orangey.
Okay.
I used to do that with my finger, Pookie, what you're doing right now.
Yep. But then I do this.
Oh, okay.
All right, so I'm putting mine in. This is what mine looks like.
Nice.
So I'm plopping it in the oven. And I'm gonna, I always put, when I bake things for the first time, a lot of times I do it 5 minutes than what they recommend, and then I check. So that's what I would recommend that you, so you check it at 5 minutes before they say it's supposed to be ready, and then you can see whether you need to add more or not.
And this we're doing for 40 minutes is what the recipe says?
So I'm putting it in for 35, my timer, and then we'll see what comes of it.
Okay.
Is that what we're making today?
Yep. So if you guys are all set, we're going to stop the recording, but we'll continue chatting. Right?
Sounds good.
All right. So that was it. And then everybody should send us pictures of your finished baked good.
Yes. That's great. That's great.
All right. So you're stopping recording?
We'll stop recording.
All right. So what do you think of the taste, Kent?